Hi, everybody. This is Center Mass with Rob and Silent J. I am Silent J. Rob will be with us momentarily. Okay. We've been gone for, we missed last week because of the Super Bowl. And so I'm glad that I'm here. And like I said, Rob will be here in a few minutes. So when Rob gets on, what I will do is start that lovely intro music, but I do not feel comfortable doing it without Rob here. But he will be here in a few minutes. Don't fret. Don't worry. Okay. Everything's cool. Everything's calm. But before we get started, this show being brought to you by somebody very cool, really cool company. I actually looked them up online and I'm going to check them out in April, National Career Fair, ncfairs.com. I went to it, and there's a job fair in the West Coast of New York, Buffalo, I believe in April. I think it's April or May, somewhere around there, sometime in the spring. So I'm going to check it out and see what they're all about. But in the meantime, I'm going to play their lovely music. Okay, their jingle, their spot, okay, their commercial, word from our sponsor, whatever you want to call it. So here we go.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs hosts over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face to face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
Okay. No. Oh, forgot about this music. I don't know where this music ever came from on a computer. Let's just play it though. Hmm. Okay. Anyway, I have no idea where that music ever derived from. I really have no idea where the hell it came from whatsoever. But anyway, Center Mass with Robin Silent J has been brought to you by is being brought to you, not has been, not past tense. Okay, but in the past they were, they were the reason why we're here to begin with. So brought to you, bring to you, and will been have brought to you. Does that make any sense? No. These are the people that help us out. Okay, this will make sense. Center Mass is being brought to you and has been brought to you by vetsonmedia.com. Check out www.vetsonmedia.com and see what they have to offer for you. Okay, all these wonderful shows: Center Mass with Robin Silent J, Tactical 16 Radio, Welcome Home Show, which I called in on Friday. I had a house question. Okay, Vets on with Adam and that guy. Are there any other cool ones? There is a cool one that's going to be coming soon. It's Rob's new finance show. I'm not going to listen to it because I think I'll be in school then. But it sounds interesting because Rob's interesting. I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when he gets here. We'll see how interesting Rob is when he gets here. But anyway, the show is brought to you by vetsonmedia.com. Go to vetsonmedia.com, www.vetsonmedia.com, and check out the show listings and the show schedules. Park your ass in front of a computer or a smartphone or an MP3 player and listen to all the cool shows. All right? Simple as that. It's a smorgasbord of shows brought to you by veterans for everybody. Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to talk about another website that is helping us out. Okay. It's ironmikemag.com. Go to ironmikemag.com for all your cool veteran little tips. It's like a magazine, it's a men's magazine without all the goofiness that Stuff and Maxim had. The goofiness, meaning like the hot chicks and stuff like that. We don't have any hot chicks there, okay? But what I will tell you is we have on ironmikemag.com cool recipes, okay? We have cool drink articles. We have cool ideas for around the house if you're a man, aka the backyard, okay? Political information, veteran information, all this cool information on ironmikemag.com. We celebrate being a man, okay? A real man, not Bruce Jenner, but a real man. If you want to stay a man, read ironmikemag.com, okay? And then you can consider yourself awesome because I am a contributor to ironmikemag.com. What's wrong with being a contributor? If you contribute to greatness, are you not greatness yourself? Are you not entertained? Huh? What movie is that from? I forgot. Anyway, also go to vetsonmedia.com and ironmikemag.com, and you are well on your way to being awesome. I will give you the last prong in this trifecta of awesomeness. It's called tactical16.com. Go to tactical16.com. Actually, don't go there because it's not a brick and mortar business. Access tactical16.com via the internet. Okay, I'm not going to be that tongue-in-cheek fun cool guy and say go to the intertubes or the interweb. It's the internet. Okay, this isn't South Africa. We don't say what do they say, the intraweb? Go to the interweb. No, this isn't South Africa. And I said South Africa for a reason, because one of our authors from tactical16.com, one David W. Peters, who is listening now, shout out to you, Dave. He is an author from tactical16.com. Okay. He is a veteran. He is an author. He is a cool man. Okay. He is a man you want on your side because he's a man of God, but he's also a man of the cloth. And I bring this up to you because, like, his actual job is he's a minister. I think the correct term for him is a minister. I don't know if it's a priest, a minister. I can't remember. Cannot remember all that. He wears the collar, but the I don't know what it's called. I forgot what it's called. I used to know what it was called, but the cloth that is cloaked over his regalia, if you will, over his collar and over his robe. It's I don't know, for lack of better let's use dummy terms here. The really long thing that goes around his neck. He had a desert cami one. He had a DCU patterned one. I thought that was pretty cool. All right. And you know what else is pretty cool about one Mr. David W. Peters is he's got a bodyguard on the internet. It's called Silent J. Okay. It's me. Don't mess with him. I'll tear you to shreds. But check out his book, Death Letter, God, Sex, and War by David W. Peters. It's a cool book. Okay. It's insightful. It's not for everybody. Okay. I guess the verbiage, some people may not like it. Some people, if you don't like God, you may not like it. But if you like God an awful lot, you may not like it because it might be considered, I don't know, taboo because some of the words that he uses. I don't know. It's a It's a lovely controversial book that you need to buy somebody for Valentine's Day, St. Valentine's Day. There's a religious tie in all this, okay? So if you want to be a good person to your loved one on Valentine's Day, or if you're my daughter, you call it Valentine's Day. We're going to have a great old Valentine's. Get Death Letter, God, Sex, and War from one Mr. Peters, okay? And you will make your significant other even more significant. I don't know how this book can do that, but this is a pretty clear approach to selling a book. All right. That's all I got to say about that. And you could go there, tactical16.com. That's the number 16 numbers. Okay. Plural, not singular, Silent J. Go to tactical16.com, tactical16.com, and you could buy Mr. David W. Peters' book. And you could also buy Chris Fernandez's book, and Justin Jordan's book, and Eric Shaw's book, and Rob Lewis's book, and then that guy Frank, and that other guy Kevin. I never talked to him. I don't know what happened to that man. But you could buy all those books for Valentine in time for Valentine's Day. And if you don't like the old-fashioned aspect of picking up a book and reading, guess what? We have what you would call e-books, okay? E-books, electronic books, all right? It's just a whole bunch of data. You can read on your Kindle, or I'm supposing your iPad, or some other tablet. I don't know. I have an iPad, but I don't read books on it. You know what I have to do? I play little role-playing games, those strategy games, those European strategy games from like the 17th, 18th, 19th century. Okay, running around like a Napoleon, trying to beat the Prussians and the Russians and every other Ishans. All right, that's what I do with my iPad. And every once in a while, I watch a show on like Hulu or Amazon Prime. But don't do what I do and waste this awesome electronical device on just stupid games and shows. Read a book on them, okay? Go to tactical16.com and get a book, and you can put yourself in a position where you're a little more intelligent afterwards. While we wait for Rob to officially start Center Mass with Rob and Silent J, what I am going to do is, you know what the funny thing is? I do my show by myself. I do tactical16.com by myself, which you can listen to from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday nights, here on betsonmedia.com or on our Google Plus and YouTube page. Okay. YouTube channel, Center Mass with, I'm sorry, Tactical 16 with Silent J. Center Mass with Rob and Silent J also has a YouTube channel and a Google Plus page, Hangout page. I don't even know what to call it. Whatever you call it, we have it. But I do that show by myself. And as soon as I sit down, it is lights out digital entertainment, my friends. Actually, I don't know. I'm probably lying to you. It's probably boring, but I don't care because I feel good about myself most of the time after I'm done with the show. Here, a little bit different of a story. I feel very uncomfortable doing this show by myself, like because Rob has to deal with Los Angeles traffic, Southern California traffic, and things of that nature, and I suppose earthquakes. I don't know, and all that stuff. So sometimes he's at a disadvantage time wise. Okay, but when we do the show together, it's magic. When I do the show by myself, I've done it a couple times alone. You know, give the people what they want. I feel so out of place. I do. I really do. It's weird. I don't know. I don't have the rhythm and the flow on this show by myself that I do on my own show by myself. And it's all just the name. It's all with just the name and the time slot. And it has me going crazy when I do this show by myself because I don't know. It's just like you mentally prepare yourself for one thing and then something else happens. What's that called? Marriage, the first one. Um, but it's okay. I'll get through it, folks. Ooh, what is this? I gotta mention. Great plug for the book, especially connecting it with Valentine's Day. See, it's all about connecting the dots. Which is funny. When Rob gets on, we're going to talk about Valentine's Day because I usually only get my girl flowers because I am very much opposed to Valentine's Day um, of what we have now. Oh, it's a stole. The camo thingy I'm wearing in the picture. Yes, a stole. A stole is what you would say a minister or a priest or a preacher, however you want to label said religious individual in front of the congregation. Okay, the mouthpiece of God, if you will. It's a stole. That's pretty interesting. I will look up what that means. Oh, and you said it's scarier. It's a scarier holiday than Halloween. It is. You know what the problem is with Valentine's Day? It is a load of garbage. It is the ultimate commercial holiday, which I oppose the commercialization of holidays as a whole. Okay, most of our holidays usually derive from religious aspects. There's the religious side of things, like Christmas, Easter, things like that. Hanukkah. Hanukkah's not really commercialized. It's not, is it? Not at all. But Christmas is commercialized. Easter's commercialized. St. Valentine's Day for shorts, if you will, is commercialized. Dingus Day, okay? And that's a religious holiday celebrated by my Polish brethren in Great Lakes cities like Buffalo, Gary, Indiana, Chicago, and then in Poland. Dingus Day is even commercialized in a way, but not so much. We turn it. Listen, Dingus Day, for those of you that don't know what Dingus Day is, it's Easter Monday in Polish vernacular, if you will. It is the day that you let loose and get crazy, like whew, Lent. Whew, it is such a drag, I mean, it kind of is. There's a reason for it, but let's face it, folks. You got to give something up, okay? You got to be on your toes. It's not really a sexy time of the year. You know what I mean? I mean, a blizzard is because the snow's falling and you're stuck, not much else to do. But you really want to be on your P's and Q's, pints and quarts. For those of you that don't know, that means for people back in the day that get drunk or got drunk in the old English taverns, to mind your manners with your pints and your quarts. Don't let your booze get a hold of you. So mind your P's and Q's. See, I am a history book of historical facts and knowledge, my friends. Mind your P's and Q's during the Lent season. Even if you don't really celebrate Easter or anything like that, you want to behave, because even the people that are scared, you never know. You never know. I mean, it could be that time, but it's like, I gotcha. And you're like, oh, and you're eating a cheeseburger on Friday, said you're going to give up Dr. Pepper, but you're eating it. You're just chilling in an In-N-Out burger or Whataburger, or Ted's hot dog. Just doing what you're not supposed to be doing on Lent. So, Easter Monday, aka Dingus Day for the Polish, is the day after you just went through the Lent season, the season of Lent, the Lent season. I don't know the correct way of saying that. And all is breath of fresh air. We're reborn in a way, we have been forgiven. We understand why we're here. It's a new day, new life. That's the whole message of Easter, right? A new day, a new life. David, if you're listening, take notes, my friend. You could do this next week. I'm telling you, next Sunday. This could be yours. You could take credit for it. Just polish it up, my friend. A new day, new beginning, new life. It is forgiven. Not all. Some of those things you just can't forgive. Um, that's what I think. But most things can be forgiven and are, I suppose. It's springtime, my friends. Get crazy. Not now. It's like 5 degrees out and snowing in Buffalo. But the end of the Lent season, it's new. Time to move on. Time to be better. And what way to get better and be better in the new season is to get drunk, right? That's what the Polish do. So they have Dingus Day, Easter Monday. You know what you do? You go and you ask if you were a boy, a guy, a teen, whatever, and you wanted to be with a girl, like court, you wanted to start a courtship, if you will. You would go and ask her father's permission for his daughter's hand and everything else attached to it. Okay. Just the hand by itself is useless. All right. Then it's like this weird Adams family thing going on. And I really don't know what anybody saw in Thing. Maybe they called it Cousin It. That's about it. But those are both weird individuals. One was a big ball of hair, one was a hand. Maybe I could see the friendship in that. They just, one would braid the other's head constantly. That's it. Hey, I got a niche. There you go. That's it. Anyway, for those of you that like more than just a hand, you would ask for permission from the father, the girl's father, to start a courtship with his daughter. And if he approved, what you would do, you would take a pussy willow, okay, it's a switch with some fuzzy buds on it. If you're from Texas, a switch, okay, you're gonna go and Adrian Peterson this chick, and what you would do, you go in her room to wake her up, and you just smack her on the back of the legs to wake her up. Kind of rude, in nature, it's very rude, ignorant, if you will. You just hit this girl. I don't know, one time if you kind of like her, 50 times if you mean business. You just keep going and going and going. And that's like, I want to marry you right now. And this poor girl's just getting beat with a pussy willow, a reed, if you will, stick, switch, little fuzzy buds on it. You hit her. And if she wakes up and doesn't punch you in the face, because I will, if somebody was to hit me with a stick in my sleep, I'd probably punch you. I wouldn't want to date you, especially if you're a dude. No, sorry. Not my thing, friends. Not that I have a problem with it. Others might, but whatever. To each their own. But anyway, what you will do is, what you would do is have the girl, if she liked you back, spray you with her perfume. This is like medieval Europe, medieval Poland. I don't know what kind of perfume they really had back then. I don't think their showers were up to snuff. They didn't even have toilets back then. I don't know what she sprayed you with. Like not dirty water. I mean, if there was such a thing. But what she would do, she would spray you with her favorite fragrance. Okay. And to seal the deal, they had a party. Okay. You would feast. Hence the new beginning, the new day. It's a new relationship. You got a young couple ready to do whatever young couples did in medieval Poland after Easter. Probably not a whole lot. Probably went and go slay some hay with a sickle, because most likely you were a serf, unless there was that time of the Polish Lithuanian Commonwealth, and then you were trying to beat Russia and the Prussians. But other than that, I don't think a whole lot really went. Not too many happy endings in medieval Eastern Europe, if you know what I mean. Probably a lot of doom and gloom. Like, oh, want to go share a beet? Here, I got you some cabbage. Want a bite? That's about it. That's all you had going on. Here, I'll boil this water and put a beaten cabbage in it. Made it for you out of love. I would never do that now. But anyway, then you would feast after this new beginning. You would have rye bread. You'd have a lot of vodka, if you will. And, cabbage soup, beet soup. Cold beet soup is pretty awesome. All right. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some leftovers from Easter, which would consist of what? I don't know, maybe a lamb bone, if you will. I don't know. But that's really about it. And that is Dingus Day, my friends. Buffalo found a way to commercialize it. Now what you do is everybody goes and wears I'm Polish t-shirts. You go to Main Street or Delaware Ave, and you watch the parade, a Polish parade. It's kind of, I don't know, makes no sense. and even saying that. And as a matter of fact, the parade itself makes absolutely zero sense. But what you do is nowadays you hit a girl, you still beat the girl with the pussy willow. But what she does is change a little bit. She sprays you with a squirt gun full of water. And then you drink vodka. And then you eat pierogies and you eat some rye bread. Okay. And you have a little leftovers, a little ham maybe. And not so much of the cabbage soup anymore. I'm a fan of the cabbage soup. But if you're trying to just get with a girl for the first time and you're eating a bowl of cabbage soup, she's probably not going to want to be around you anymore. Okay. Unless she's got a big bottle of perfume. And why would somebody just sent me a question? Hey, could you be so kind as to subscribe to my YouTube channel? My show, bro. No. Well, maybe if you're listening to my show. So Anthony, the person who put a link up on my question section, if you're listening to my show right now and you prove that you're a real human being and you are listening to my show, then I will subscribe to your channel. But somehow I got a feeling you're on par with the guy from Nigeria who wants my bank account so he can wire $5.2 trillion to my bank account to help feed the starving kids. That's my guess. So I'm going to ignore your link until you do what I say. But anyway, so that's a little commercialized. But Valentine's Day, like David said, Saint Valentine is not an official saint of the church. There is a story that he was a monk who married lovers when they couldn't get married in the Roman Empire. Which, you know, and I also thought that the man that portrayed Saint Valentine, he's not even an official saint. So this faker backbreaker, we'll call him. How about we call him St. Valentine for short? Because I don't know. I can't really fully commit to this guy being a saint if I got a man of the cloth saying he's not. I thought this guy was from Turkey, or what is known as Turkey, Asia Minor, Ottoman Empire, you know, the World War I bastard children. I thought that guy was from Turkey. And what do they know about Valentine's Day? I don't think they know much of anything about Valentine's Day. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but it's a rarity. But you look at the other holidays that are commercialized. Easter, okay, I get the egg. I understand the egg. It's got its lineage in Eastern Europe, the same as Dingus Day. It means new life. Okay, the egg, everybody comes from an egg, unless your mom and dad are one and asexual, and then you're a lizard person. And if that's the case, I would chalk you up to being Donald Rumsfeld and Joe Biden. But for everybody else who's not a lizard person, courtesy of Louis C.K., I paid homage to a very great man right there. For everybody else who's not coming from a lizard person, most likely you come from an egg. And if you don't come from an egg and you're a person, then you got a lot of explaining to do. Then I might need some Roddy Piper glasses to see your true identity. They live. I know they do. But anyway, you look at Easter, very much commercialized, because we went from Jesus being reborn, Jesus rising from the dead, if you want to be funny and hip, Zombie Jesus Day. Okay? I mean, it's not a stretch, is it? I'm paying tribute to tonight being the half-season premiere of The Walking Dead. So, you know, you got to stay relevant in this business, if you know what I mean. But anyway, you look at Easter. How the heck did we get from Jesus rising from the dead, paying for our sins, forgiving us, letting man off the hook, and woman, so to speak, and then the kids, letting everybody off the hook unless you're a real dirtball, okay? You can't let Hitler off the hook. You just can't. I'm sorry. I don't care where you come from. That man cannot be let off the hook. Anyway, how do you get chocolate eggs, fake grass in a basket with marshmallow peeps? How is that Easter? I don't get it. And do you think Jesus wants to be paired up with peeps? Hi, Rob.
What up, homie?
I'm talking about the commercialization of holidays, and just like Valentine's Day is coming up, which I think is a load of garbage.
Oh, shit. Valentine's Day is coming up. Thanks for reminding me.
No problem, man. See, I'm always there for you. But I'm talking about the commercialization of holidays, and one Mr. David W. Peters, author extraordinaire from the Tactical 16 Brotherhood, said that Saint Valentine is not actually an official saint of the church.
I can't remember. So I've heard a lot of different things about what Valentine's Day actually is. Isn't it a day that a bunch of people? Oh, you know what? It was either the day that a bunch of gangsters were massacred in Chicago, or the day the Templars were burned at the stake.
That's another one. Oh, it's also the day that the guy from Hallmark got together with the guy from E! Flowers, who got together with the guy from Hershey's and said, listen, guys, business is bad in February. We got to do something about it.
They should have just started a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, much better.
Well, you know,
I like the massacre better. I like the St. Valentine's Day massacre better because you know what? Valentine's Day is a massacre for millions of dudes out there that go and get the wrong present.
However,
get death letter. There you go.
However, at least for Valentine's Day, because you got to think about all the different holidays there are, right? So Christmas, as a parent, Christmas just means spend a lot of money, talk to relatives I don't like, get up really early, like step on Legos all over the floor for a couple of weeks because there's just going to be shit everywhere. At least Valentine's Day, you get laid, right? Like, if you do it semi-well, you get laid. You buy flowers, you buy chocolates, you buy a present, you smooch your better half, you just be a decent human being, be a decent boyfriend for a little while.
Yeah.
You get some. So, hey, you can spend a little bit of extra change because it's like when your date orders the lobster. You know what I mean? Like, you know, she's, hey, she wants another bottle of champagne? Yes. Well, okay, that's great. Like, hey, okay. Some things as a guy, you just got to go, hey, man, I'm going to take this one for the team because I know it's going to be well worth the effort.
See, I'm not. You know what I said? I said to, let me see if I can get it up here. Christina, she's a co-host on one of the shows with the network, No Limits Radio, and she posted something, and I have to find it. She said something about Valentine's Day and you know what to get as a gift, and I said I will not be pigeonholed into doing the same old thing. Like, you want to be unique. You want to be an individual. And everybody's going out and getting flowers, getting chocolate, getting a card, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be different. I'm going to show that I am not like everybody else out there, and I am not going to succumb to peer pressure for just one day. So what I'm going to do with my lovely, this is my thought process, just sit down and watch a nice movie on Netflix. Something of my choosing. Maybe a lot of blood and guts.
You know what Natalie and I are doing?
What?
Jetpack, baby.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because, you know, I bought it like a month ago, and we got together last week. We were like, we got to book this thing before it runs out because, you know, I bought the trip, but I didn't buy a specific date because she and I both have crazy schedules. I mean, she's just as busy as I am. She's an investment advisor as well. We met at work, right? And so we were like, it's funny because, like, we are, you know, our better half, she gets mad when I say we're dating because apparently in LA that means, like, no big deal. But to me, whatever. Okay, so she's my live-in girlfriend. So however you take that. She's my live-in girlfriend. She's the only woman that I kiss and have sex with until I love, right? So there we go. But she's super busy. So, like, we have to do video conferences to, like, schedule stuff together. Like,
you guys are a total LA power couple. Ugh.
It's funny, but we were like, so last week we're like, hey, we gotta book this thing before it goes out, or it's gonna go to waste. So can you pencil me in tomorrow for 15 minutes tomorrow night? We'll get on the phone, we'll do a Google Hangout, and we'll figure out when we can schedule this damn thing. And so it's funny because we were both like, Valentine's Day is the only real day we know we don't have anything else planned. So that's gonna be our thing. We're gonna go jetpacking in the afternoon, go have a nice lunch on the beach, go see a movie, and then go have sex.
Listen, if my girl's listening to this, he's a liar. He's not doing any of this stuff. Don't hold my feet to his fire. All right? But this is what I told Christina, because she goes, what are Valentine's Day is here. Before you know it, tune in this Saturday for great gift ideas. And I go, I have the best idea of all. She goes, what's that? I go, tell the woman in your life, you chose me because I'm special and different than the rest. So to stay different, I will be the only loving man to get his loving partner nothing. I will not be like everyone else. I will not succumb to advertising and promises of love in the name of flowers, chocolate, and cliche dinners, in the name of romance and irregular sexual activities. I will stay home with you and watch Netflix. Then my girl and I are having a conversation tonight. She said something like, "Oh, Valentine's Day." I'm like, "Oh." And she goes, "Oh, you're gonna give me the same thing you always do?" Well, I forgot what I even always get her. I'm like, "What's that?" Flowers. I'm like, because I have bad allergies, so it does take me a lot to get real live living flowers and put them in the house because it's just a week of torture for me. It sucks, you know. So she said I got something going on. I got plans. She said basically she booked something from like 12 to 3 on Sunday afternoon, which I don't know. Oh, I think she gave a little hint, something about a museum. I don't know if we're going on some kind of tour, if there's a special showing or engagement or something's going to be there. I have no idea. So you know what I have to do now? I have to go back on everything I said, and I have to knock this one out of the park. If she's lying to me just to, pry my cold dead hands, away from my wallet, with the death clutch, I'm going to be very upset.
They
So,
have museums in Buffalo, New York.
yeah, we got a great museum.
I thought it was nothing but methamphetamines and hookers.
No, you're thinking of Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah, okay, got it.
We're not Milwaukee. No, there's a really good museum here, the Albert Knox Art Museum. I saw, Rene. I think it's Rene Descartes or something like that. He did the Kiss and the Thinker and the Gates of Hell.
Oh, yeah.
Thinker, that guy right there.
Yeah.
The Kiss, the Embrace. I saw an original showing of his pieces at the Albert Knox Art Gallery years ago. Were probably one of the best sculptures. I think one of the greatest sculptures ever of all time. And for all you people that like the weird doom and gloom sort of thing, look up Rene, the Gates of Hell. It's a very cool piece. Very, very awesome piece. It's one of those sculptures that you can look at for hours at many different times and see something new. It was his interpretation of the door that goes into hell. So you had like all the angels and the cherubs and stuff on top, and there was a battle, and then all the demons below in this archway, in this doorway. Very cool.
There's some archaeologists who actually think they found what inspired that idea of the gates of hell?
Yeah, isn't it in Turkey?
Yeah, it's somewhere in Turkey. Everything's in Turkey?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good.
Valentine's skull in the gates of hell in Turkey. See? Correlation? Huh?
It's perpetually on fire. It smells of sulfur. It's underground fires that never go out. And so they think that's where the idea of the gates of hell came from. It's very interesting. Turkey, man. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit in Turkey. Turkey has they have the underground city that it was an entire metropolitan city that built an underground city for, I guess they were pacifists or something. If an invading horde came in, they could go underground, and basically there was one entrance, so they could have 5 people fend off, an entire horde with, just spikes because there's only one way in, one way out. And what was it? I think it got really cold in that part of the world, so whenever we get cold, they could go underground. A lot of different things that they did with that.
Wasn't it? I forgot the name of it. I'll look it up. But isn't it? Didn't it have enough room for 30,000 people or some ungodly?
It's something crazy. They had full blown. They had a dozen churches. They had a couple wineries. They had working restrooms. They had all kinds of stuff down there.
Turkey's underground cities. I'm gonna look it up because it's got Darren Caillou. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's Turkish. You're not gonna pronounce it right.
Yeah, and then I'm looking at the Greek pronunciation of it. Yeah, it's a passage in the underground city. It's spelled Derinkuyu. Darren Caillou or something like that. Yeah, it was open to visitors in 1969. Yeah, features that one entrance, air conditioning in every room, and a box of chocolates for your sweetheart. No, yeah, the city could accommodate 20,000 people, and had unusual amenities found in other underground complexes along the Cappadocia, such as wine and oil presses, stables, cellars, storage rooms, refectories, and chapels. Yeah. Um, Pretty cool. That's one of those things I would love to go to.
Yeah, somebody that I worked with did. One of the contractors I worked with in Afghanistan, she took a trip to Turkey, and she actually did. She went there.
I would
Um,
love to go to Turkey as a whole. I mean, and just say I'm Canadian. Turkish.
actually, so
I don't like Turks. I never had good run-ins with the third country nationals when I was in Iraq that were from Turkey. Just not nice.
my former team sergeant was a Turkish POW.
Really?
Yeah, so it's open source information, but a lot of people really don't know. The way we got into Iraq, special forces went through. We had to illegally enter, right? Because Turkey said we couldn't go in through their airspace. So 10th Special Forces Group, we got a bunch of guys in big old 18-wheelers, filling full of trucks, guns, and money, and basically, just like drug smugglers in the Mexican border, that's where we got the idea, tried to drive through Turkey into northern Iraq. So a couple of guys got caught. My team sergeant was one of them. So he was driving trucks that had Land Rover Defenders in the back of them, which is why my new book, The Pact, which will be released hopefully February 17th under Tactical 16, available on Amazon and everywhere else you can find good books. That's why I love Land Rover Defenders so much. But so the Turks catch him trying to drive all these Land Rover Defenders. White guy with a beard. It doesn't take a whole lot to figure out that this guy's American, right? And he's not wearing regular military uniform, so it's pretty easy to figure American Special Forces, right? They knew we were going to go in at that point. If they're going in beforehand and they're not wearing a uniform, okay, we're Special Forces, right? So they put my team sergeant and all of his buddies in prison. They put them in military prison.
Really?
Take all the Land Rover Defenders, and they say, okay, well, you're trying to get through without, what was it? They weren't going to take them, but they said, we have a tax. You're trying to drive these things through our country, you got to pay a tax to drive them through the country of Turkey. Okay, what's the tax? What's the tax on each one of these vehicles?
Did you
just happen to be
Dr. Evil going $5 billion? Like, get out of here.
It was the sticker price for each one of those trucks was the tax that Turkey imposed.
That's not. Hey, at least it's doable.
Yeah, but he said like Turkish prison might as well be Mexican prison. He said it ain't no nice place.
How long, I mean, answer obviously what you're authorized or allowed to say, but how long was there a time frame? Was he stuck for a long time, or was it?
I think he was there for about a week.
It was like a nice little getaway.
Yeah, well, he speaks Turkish. He actually spoke Turkish. That's in Special Forces. Everybody learns a language. His language was Turkish. He just happened to know Turkish, which is funny. But his team sergeant was a complete douchebag and gave him away because he would set up so he could listen to the guards. And he said there was some pretty shady shit that they were talking about. But at one point, he got wind because he could hear the guards talking to each other that didn't think these stupid Americans knew what they were saying. And he heard them start going, oh, hey, the American government is starting to negotiate for their release. So he kind of knew they were getting out of there soon, Yeah, but anybody that hasn't been to SEER school...
man, that's a... Ugh. There's always that guy. Always that guy that spoils it for everybody.
Yeah, there's buddy fuckers, man. There's always got to be a buddy fucker.
Yeah.
Speaking of buddy fuckers, Brian Williams. Did you talk about Brian Williams yet?
No, that I was waiting for you. You know what I've... as I was taking my dog outside to go do a Brian Williams, it was cold, and I was like, if my door pad doesn't work because I had the entrance code to get in, I'm like, I'm dead out here. And then I just started singing the song, lying in bed, just like Brian Wilson did.
Yeah.
What an idiot. I mean, what do you? Before we really get into it, my take real quick is. And I wrote this somewhere. I don't know, some stupid site that I'm on to just annoy myself, like Huffington Post or something like that. There's so many people like, oh, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, yeah, he did. He lied. He's a news anchor and he lied. he's a very well respected journalist that lied.
Not anymore.
Yeah. You know, what's his name? Walter Cronkite gave his opinion one time in his entire on-air career, and you know what he did? He apologized for it. He let his personal feelings, I guess, get the best of him one night, talking about the Vietnam War and LBJ, and he apologized the next night for it.
Really?
He gave his opinion one time, and that's like everybody looks at, like Walter Cronkite is like, you know, is the man when it comes to journalism, like, you know, so it's like,
well, journalism's dead.
one time, yeah, journalism is dead. But now you got Brian Williams, who not only lied about the Iraq story, but just coming to find out, you know, he might have lied about a bunch of other stuff.
Well, I really liked all the Duffel Blog, This Ain't Hell, Rally Point. Like, basically every military website out there is just constantly putting Facebook memes about what a douchebag he is, about him claiming to have beheaded Osama bin Laden, about him claiming to have, you know, been there when JFK was assassinated.
You know, I like the one where it was like, they had him in Neil Armstrong's outfitted, and it was like something about, yeah, this is what Brian Williams looked like after he landed on the moon.
Yeah, I mean, it's the unfortunate thing, but it really is. So journalism's dead, integrity's dead. You know, if our culture was anything like the Japanese culture, he would be starting a samurai sword right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it would be better for everybody, right? Because that's
a volcano.
Doing what?
We're jumping into a volcano.
Oh, but like Joe versus the volcano, that would be pretty sweet.
No, there's actually a volcano back in the 20s or 30s that a girl jumped into a volcano and started a trend. Just like the Death Forest, you know, the Death.
Yeah, the Death Forest. I was just gonna say the Death Forest. Yeah.
They got a death volcano in Japan. Like, Japan's badass when it comes to shaming people.
Well, but see, that's the whole thing. That's where we're polar opposites, right? Because they have culture. They still have integrity. You know, I saw that Hero Dreams of Sushi documentary not too long ago, right? That takes some honor, right? The dude, he has done the same thing the same way every day his entire life because he feels it's honorable doing what he's doing, being a sushi chef.
Yeah, you know, he's been making rice for like 20 years and still messed up.
Okay, it looks like it's just me from now on. This is a little strange. I think we both just lost Joe, and we lost my connection for a little bit. But anyway, like I was saying, this documentary, Hero Dreams of Sushi, if you haven't seen it yet, it's about this Japanese guy. He's a certain part of the Japanese culture where he's been doing the same thing the same way every day his entire life. He has a sushi shop in a subway station in downtown Tokyo, I believe. And it's Michelin rated. So it's the only Michelin, I think, rated sushi restaurant in the entire world. And it's definitely the only Michelin star rated restaurant that's in a subway station. But it just goes to show, it's just how honorable they are about whatever it is that you're doing. You know, that's one of the big things. My dad used to always tell me, whatever it is that you're doing, be proud of it, right? Whether you're digging ditches or building skyscrapers or building bridges, whatever you're doing, just be proud of it. Put your pride into whatever you're doing and just be good at it. And whether you like it or not, put some pride into it because someday somebody's going to come around and see what you've done and they're either going to go, wow, that guy's pretty good at what he does, or this guy's a steaming piece of garbage, right? And which one do you want? And I think the Japanese culture still has that. They still have pride in what they're doing. They still, if they shame somebody or if they dishonor themselves, they feel bad, and society shuns them and shames them and makes them feel bad. Whereas our culture, somebody does something wrong, and you just go, oh, it's not your fault. It's society's fault. Oh, it's not your fault. We wronged you so much. Let me wipe your ass and blow your nose for you. I'm so sorry that it's completely our fault. Oh, you're black and you can't get a job. It's not because you're a lazy fuck. It's because, you know, somebody 10 generations ago did something wrong to you. Oh, you're fat? Well, that's not your fault. It's this fast food. It's all their fault. It's not your fault. Oh, you're dying of lung cancer. It's the cigarette company's fault. It's not your fault that you couldn't figure out the first time you smoked a goddamn cigarette and hacked your lungs out that it was bad for you. No, it's not your fault. I feel like Darwinism and evolution has lost its course in the United States of America, and unfortunately, like, I keep seeing all these things where we're doing all these crazy medical advances to keep people alive that nature doesn't want alive anymore, right? And I hate to say it like that. It is a really mean way to say it, but I read about the UK now is going to start allowing 3-parent babies, right? So babies born from 3 parents. So there's a specific kind of mitochondrial disease that it starts in the womb. Your mitochondria are affected, which are a very, very essential part of your cellular of you at a cellular level, right? So there's a certain disease that starts to kind of take place while people are in the womb. So what they're allowing people to do, it only happens on the mother's side. So they're allowing them to take cells from a healthy mother, inject it into the unhealthy mother that has this mitochondrial disease, and then they can have, she has sperm inserted from the dad, and so it's a 3-person baby.
I don't like the idea of that. That sounds scary.
That sounds scary, and we're just fucking with nature, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of a dummy when it comes to things of that nature. The health thing, the medical things, really not my thing. But when you start making little android babies like that, I don't know, man. I don't know. And let's just people that are all about nature, like naturally, like anti-God people who are all about nature, though, like tree huggers. Isn't that going against nature? And then you got the people on, the religious side would say that's going against God. So who's doing this? Who's okaying this? Because I don't think hippies and spiritual folks are kind of behind this.
Well, here's the other side of that. Anytime that I hear somebody say technology is ungodlike, right? And this is where you get into real kind of dogmatic philosophical discussion. Because if you say it's ungodlike or it's ungodly or however you would say that, on the other side, it must have been God that gave somebody the ability to think this stuff up, whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
It must have been God that gave somebody the ability to think of this crazy shit, right? So in the fact that it's a very human idea, it has to be godlike because God is within every one of us, and God must have given us.
The funny thing is, the guy that created, or the girl that created this 3-parent approach, I wonder if God just gave that person the ability to make a really good sandwich one day, and their mind just went with it. And God's up there like, hey, hold on, no! I was giving you the idea of a really good 3-meat sandwich. You effed it up. Now look what you did. Now you made a 3-meat kid. No. See, I was talking about capicola, pastrami, and I don't know, pate. It's never been done before. I don't know. It could be good. Just don't look at it like that. I was thinking of something that no. I gave you the recipe for an offbeat sandwich that'd be good. Now you got a three people kid in there. No.
I kind of wish we would just go back to the Old Testament God. Because New Testament
just killing people.
Yeah, that's the thing and that's one of the things. The first time as an adult I read the Bible the entire way through. That was the first thing I did when I got to the end. I said to myself, like, hey, are these 2 different gods? Because it really does seem very different. Old Testament God, fire, brimstone, you F with me, I'm going to smoke you down and kill your family and bring locusts on your entire country.
Don't turn around. You're going to be a condiment.
Yeah. New Testament God, love, flowers, Birkenstocks, and patchouli oil, right? So you kind of want Old Testament God to come back and have a flood or get rid of some stupid people or something, because traffic in LA sucks, man. We got too many stupid people around here as it is, and I don't know. I don't know why we're doing that. I don't know why we're saving people that don't need to be saved. I just don't know why.
I would like, what's that stupid Jim Carrey movie?
The Mask?
Okay, that's kind of a redundant question. The specific one, Bruce Almighty, where he's God? Oh man, let there be a Silent J Almighty. It's going to be a lot of parking lots, an awful lot. Rob, I'll give you a 24-hour notice, man. I will wait until I'll wait until the Oscars to do what I got to do. Just get rid of them all. One shot. One quick, broad stroke of the brush.
I can tell you that I think that would do a lot of good for the world if you got rid of most of Hollywood. Just one fell swoop, just get rid of them all. Just like SAG. Just get rid of SAG. Just everybody has a SAG card. Just go ahead and.
Anybody that's involved with SAG or the Russian Federation, I'm sorry, you're smoked. You're gone. You're both just as evil.
So speaking of the Russian Federation, so I'm a weekly personality on a radio station here in Southern California. Every Friday, talking about political ongoings, and I've been writing for a local newspaper that I do some political writings about. So my article last week, I'm not sure if you picked this up in the news because it was on a lot of alternative media and it was all over the news in the rest of the world, especially in the UK. Never really picked up here in the United States very much. Did you hear about the Russian bomber that flew over the English Channel with a nuclear payload last week?
No, I really didn't. I'm one of those. Whatever I could read on here, in passing, that's my news intake for the day now. So
I put it on. So I wrote the article for the newspaper. I also put it on my blog at farfromcenter.com and lovemewhenimgone.com.
I know I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, it's on both those blogs. You can check those out. But I was talking about deterrence theory and just kind of how scary that is because they knew, right? So they're in a Russian bomber that has no stealth capabilities. For anybody that doesn't know, Russia has encroached NATO airspace a couple of hundred times over the last calendar year, meaning they've sent their bombers or fighters or both into airspace, and a lot of analysts are thinking that that's testing response times, right? So they're basically trying to figure out how far they can get into different countries' territories, how far they can get in, and how long they can be in before they're intercepted by enemy fighters, because that's what we do. I mean, we have all these kind of drills all over the place that as soon as that comes up, they're supposed to get intercepted by fighters. So this bomber flew over the English Channel, no stealth capability, so they knew they were going to be seen. British intelligence says that they knew there was a nuclear payload on that particular airplane long before it even took off. They have a listening post in Iceland that could hear every single communication within the airplane, right? And they were talking on their own communication about the nukes, right? So they knew they were going to be seen. They knew they were going to be heard. They knew that everybody who knew they were carrying nukes. Funny enough, they were on, when asked, the Russian ambassador was called into the MI6 headquarters in Great Britain and asked, like, what the fuck are you doing? What's going on here? And he said they were on a training mission to hunt British Vanguard submarines, which, funny enough, British Vanguard submarines are the exact submarines that are the nuclear deterrent for the United Kingdom. They're the nuclear submarines that are supposed to blow nukes out of the water. They're the deterrence theory, right? So deterrence theory is this idea that because America and Russia and India and Pakistan, all these other people, because these superpowers both have nuclear capability, and because we have instantaneous response times, we don't ever nuke each other, right? It's called deterrence theory. It's that deterrent. It's the fact that since we both know that we each have all these nukes, none of us is going to use nukes because we know if we ever launch one on Russia, the minute it's even close to their airspace, Russia's launched 100 right back at us, and it's mutually assured destruction, right? And so there's no way around that at this point because us and Russia both have submarines all over the place to where even if we could take out each other's entire continents or somehow get to all the ICBMs before they could respond, the subs could launch from the ocean and still hit targets all over each other's countries. So it's deterrent theory, right? And that was kind of my idea. That's what I think that this is. Because we've imposed all these sanctions on Russia. We're doing all these other things that are kind of hurting their economy at this point and pissing them off. And I think it's just kind of like a reminder from them to the United States, like, hey, bitches, we still got nukes. Don't mess with us too much.
If there was ever a time, if it was like inevitable in some generation that the U.S. and Russia are going to duke it out and literally have a war, heads up, I would prefer to be our generation because you see the crop of Americans behind us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all dead anyway, But I think our generation, like us, we'll put up a hell of a fight before we're all vaporized,
Yeah, Yeah.
Could you imagine a bunch of millennials and hipsters, walking around the battlefield? Like, isn't it so ironic? Shut up. I mean, at least I think we're the last generation of badasses. Everybody born before 1982, I would say, maybe possibly 85, but that's a stretch. Because
are you saying everybody born before them were badasses?
No, I'm saying that's the last large stock of individuals.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a couple badass, peppered here and there, 90, 91, 93, but it's thin. The herd really starts to thin out in those Bill Clinton baby days. So that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, go figure. So I've got this thing that I saw today on Facebook. Facebook's good for a couple things. But I saw this Joe Rogan thing on Facebook that I'd kind of like to share. You mind if I play this? Because we're talking about kind of society and the generations and everything, and this kind of talks about that specifically. And I was looking for a good reason to share this, and I think this is as good a reason as any to share it.
It's not through YouTube, is it?
What's that?
It's not through YouTube, is it?
No, it's through break.com.
This is a hilarious family.
So let me, hold on, I gotta play this stupid ad.
Might be a little fresh off the boat. Watch this.
Millions made fresh off the boat, this year's newest hit comedy.
Yes.
And now it moves to its new
The story of South Florida.
How do I skip this stupid thing?
It's regular night and time, Tuesday, 8, 7 Central on.
God, I hate it.
Ow. ABC.
Folks, it ain't about
All right,
that.
here we go.
It ain't about the guy who tries buying a clean car when you're dirty. It's not his fault. It's you should figure out how to be clean. You should figure out how to do a job that doesn't involve you walking in mud all day. And that's possible because somebody else has done it. I don't buy the idea that, the society the way it is right now, it has to be this way. Someone's always going to have to work at Burger King. Someone's always going to have to. I don't buy that. I think people are pretty fucking flexible. If you look at the broad spectrum of humans and human behavior from different cultures all over the world, it's pretty obvious to me that there's a lot of different ways that people can act. We don't have to have fast food workers. We don't have to have people who work shit jobs. We don't have to. We just need to figure out how to restructure society so everybody somehow or another plays a part, has something to contribute, has something to share. I mean, that's what a real society is supposed to be like. I give you some coconuts, you give me some fish. We make a deal, and you do it back and forth and left and right. And when there's nothing to contribute, then you start looking, the president needs to give us jobs. We need jobs. So instead of something to contribute, you just find something to do with your time. And then it becomes about doing that more than it becomes about finding something to contribute. So society gets wrapped around becoming a part of a machine. Society, instead of becoming a bunch of individuals that are expressing themselves in unique ways, and everybody sort of borrows and shares and sells this and you sell that, and we all sort of figure out how we can contribute in a society, we got sidetracked and diverted into these boxes that they call companies and corporations, and we got stuck into these containers that they go cubicles or offices, and we got forced into this system. So our time, instead of it being invested in making pottery or fixing cars or doing something where you have a passion or you have some sort of a connection to, instead of that, you've sold your life to sit in a box and work for a machine, an uncaring machine that demands productivity. It doesn't understand you. It doesn't want to understand you. It has a bunch of very strict things in order to keep the humor at a minimum in the office, just in case one of you fuckheads says some stupid sex jokes that gets them sued, and they have to give somebody $1 million. So get it together, and this is your life now. No natural behavior. Everybody's wearing clothes they don't want to wear. Everybody's showing up and doing something they don't want to do. They have no connection to. That's the problem with our society. And then what's the reward for all this stuff? Go home, get a big TV. Go home, you're going to get a shiny belt buckle. You're going to get a nice purse. You're going to wear shoes that you couldn't afford last week. You're going to get that dream car. And every week we're chasing down this new object, and every week we're trying to fill this hole in this sad shadow of a life that we've been left with after work. That you work 8 to whatever the hours a day plus commuting, and then you're like this. And that's your life. That's your real fucking life. All that other stuff is not your life anymore. All that other stuff is work. And most of us have committed to that. I know you've been there before, and I've been there before. And we understand that it's a trap because we got out of it. But for the people that are in it, a lot of times they don't even understand it's a trap. They just think it's a good job. They think they got dental. I'm doing really good. I got my own parking spots, got my name on it. And you're just a piece of a heartless, shitty machine that makes money.
But don't you think you have to go through all that just to figure out what you want to do? Because
No,
I mean, I
think I did, but I don't think you have to. Look, I did, but when I became a comedian when I was 21, I was 100% convinced that I was going to be a stand-up comedian for the rest of my life. Like, I didn't need to worry about what was next. I was like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I don't want to do anything else. Like, this is what I'm doing. Once I found it, I was good. All the jobs were just to feed myself while I was trying to make that work. But it's to get one and commit to it and have it become a part of your life becomes really problematic. Because if you were a dirtbag like myself who drove limos and did construction and did all these, almost kind of temporary jobs that a lot of people drift in and out of, there's nothing expected of you. But if you get hired by a major corporation and become a big part of their program, like let's say you're also an animator and you get a gig. Like I have a friend who was an illustrator and he was working for Nickelodeon and he got fired and he was panicking and he was like, shit, I don't know what the fuck to do. He's like, I gotta figure out another job. So he started making paintings and selling his paintings. It was the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. Now his name's Todd White. He's a super successful artist. He makes like this kind of martini style, like cocktails from the like cocktail parties from the 1920s, like those cool kind of cartoonish martini glass things. He's got a real specific, distinctive style. It's really cool. He's a great artist. And he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I know him from Jean-Jacques Machado's. He's a great guy, but it was an opportunity for him to lose a job, and even a job that he loved as an illustrator. But, I'm sure he'd much rather do what he wants to do and do what's going on in his mind.
That's cool stuff.
Oh, he's really cool. He's badass. And he's a great guy, too. Very cool guy.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I love me some Joe Rogan. I definitely love me some Joe Rogan. But I picked that up today, and it made me really start thinking because I've had some other stuff going on in my life. Just some really, really weird stuff. Here we go. I believe everything happens for a reason, right? That's just the way I am. I believe every single thing happens for a reason, whether you see it or know it or understand it or not, right? So I've got this other thing that I picked up that I'm going to play, which in this idea of what Joe was just talking about, it makes this.
Before you play that, what's your thoughts, like real quick, on what he said, like people being pigeonholed into, just not a job, but not a career, whatever you want to call those ones that you just float through. That's what I'm like building towards, just being completely free of, that idea of ever doing a job like that again.
I think, so I'm a very esoteric guy. I'm a very spiritual guy. I believe in a lot of really out there stuff. I go to church. I went to church today. I go to church every Sunday. I'm trying to raise my kids to be spiritual, religious, all that good stuff. But I'm a very big believer that the universe, I believe God is the all, right? In the Hermetic sense, he's called the all. He is everything. He's just boundless energy. He's not some dude sitting up on a cloud wearing sandals like we see in Sunday school. he is, she, they are all, right? Everything. Energy, boundless energy, infinite intelligence, all these other things. And I believe his purpose for all of us is to be fucking happy, right? His purpose is for us to be happy. Like, that's, if you want to be mad at religion, fine, be mad at religion. But for those of us that are parents, Joe, you and I are both parents.
Yep.
When you think about God, and people talk about this all-loving God, and you go, well, why does he love us? And why would he send his only son down to earth to die for our sins? Why would he give a fuck about us? A lot of people think we're just some social science experiment. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
God is our parent, whatever that might mean, right? He's not a parent like you and I are parents to our kids, but in the same sense, whatever God is, he created us. So in a sense, he's our parent, right? He is our parent. And just like any other parent throughout the universe, any other parent that we see, he loves his offspring. Right? Because you know something that you created, you have love for that thing, and you don't want to create that thing and have it be miserable. You want that thing to be fucking happy. I was with my kids all this weekend, and that's all I can think about when I got my kids is I want them to be happy. I want their life to be as great as it can possibly be. And so when you look at stuff like this, like I've been really on this path lately because, you know, I've been doing that thing for a very long time. For a year or so, I've been doing my own thing as an author. You know, writing articles as an investment advisor. I'm self-employed for all this stuff that I do. I'm a 32nd degree Freemason. I'm part of the Scottish Rite. I got a call at the end of December that the guy that's kind of the head honcho for my valley, so my group of Scottish Rite Freemasons here in Los Angeles, said, hey, we got a problem. This guy that's been doing this job in our valley administrative stuff has been kind of, slacking off, having an issue. I really need some help. You got all this business experience. Can you help him out? So at the very same time, I had finished writing the pack. I had sent it off like it was done and dusted, and I had sat around. And I was like, what the hell do I do with myself now? Right? I finished my book. What do I do with myself?
Yeah, you finished that fairly quick, in the overall picture of writing a book. So that does take a lot of time throughout the course of a day, throughout the course of a week. Yeah, what do you do with your time?
Yeah, well, for me, when I put all of my mind into something, it's game on, because I'll work 18 hours and then all of a sudden look up and go, I forgot to eat. Shit, I just, when I get enveloped in something, I do it. So when I get done with that book, I was like, shit, what am I gonna do? I was looking around all these things, and I just went, I think I need to get a job. I kind of want to go back to corporate America, like everything that Joe was talking about. I kind of went, I should do that. So I had put out all these resumes, and it's funny because at the same exact time, this guy from my valley calls me and says, hey, we need somebody to, come take over this administrative stuff, this, all this stuff's going on. I had sent out a couple resumes, and I had a couple interviews, and I had a job offer from Transamerica to go corporate because, my investment advisory, I'm an independent advisor with Transamerica. I had an offer to go do corporate. But when you looked at these two jobs side by side, the one that was with the Scottish Rite, it was a 1099, no benefits, but my understanding of the job was you kind of make your own hours. I could come and go whenever I wanted to. I was kind of my own boss. They just had this shit where they would say, this needs to get taken care of. Take care of it. Do whatever you think is best. Do it. On the other hand, the Transamerica job, twice as much. And this is where it's funny because the universe fucks with you, right? The universe sometimes lets you know, hey, fuckhead, you're supposed to make a decision here, and this is going to influence the rest of your life. Take the left path, take the right path, go ahead and choose. I'm just going to sit back here and watch. Ha, ha, ha. Right? Because it was literally a little bit more than twice as much, full benefits, all this other stuff. But during my interviews with them, they were like, yeah, because I would be handling large corporations' retirement accounts, right? So doing all these things for their retirement stuff. So every phone call was monitored. I had to be in a cubicle, had like straight fucking lockdown, right? So when I looked at this, I went, this is what the universe is telling me, right? It's telling me right now to decide, what do I want my life to be? Do I want my life to go back and be corporate America? Because I've had some big corporate jobs for some very big companies, well-paying jobs before. So that was the universe telling me, what do you want with your life from this point forward? Do you really want to go back to corporate America? I know you sent out these resumes. I know you started thinking about how nice it would be to have all these great, benefits and stuff like that again. But pay attention, asshole, because they're telling you all your freedom's gone. You're going to be getting up at 6 a.m. You're going to be getting on a train. You're going to be going there. Every phone call is going to be recorded. Your 15-minute breaks are going to be timed. Your lunch break is going to have to be in the building. You're going to get on a fucking treadmill on the bottom floor of the gym there in the building, and everything's there.
You just summed it up in a nutshell right there. Why I don't want to do that stuff. 15-minute breaks, half-hour lunch. Don't be 2 minutes late. We'll give you a minute in case you trip going up the stairs. But don't, listen. Everything's recorded by your swipe card. Boop. Yeah. Oh, it's like shut up. A funny story. You look at it in a large picture sort of way. I look at it in the lazy guy sort of way. I applied for a internship. Was looking at a bunch of internships. Like I have to do an internship for school that requires anywhere from 20 to 40 hours a week of unpaid work. Which, by the way, I want to say, like the media world, whether it's TV, production, radio, journalism, anything like that, been working off slave labor since the 1960s. I'm going to say that since the 1960s because communication as a degree didn't come into play until the 60s, the 70s. Media arts, communication, digital media is a newer one in the last 5, 10, 15 years. Working off slave labor, and I looked at it and I'm like, I gotta commit to how much for no money with experience? And I'm in a lecture hall and there's this professor. It's funny because I had him for one class last semester, 2 this semester, possibly 3 next semester. It's like this single individual is shaping, a large amount of individuals who are going to be shaping the minds and opinions of even larger amount of individuals. Look, this guy right here controls media. He's a professor. But anyway, he said, if you go to get a job in the entertainment world, in the media industry, you got to have experience. You can't have experience without an education. So the internship, the unpaid internship is the key. Well, no, you guys made it the key. You really did. I could be getting paid getting somebody coffee, but you chose not to pay me to get somebody coffee and maybe scrub a report, re-edit a report. So anyway, I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, I gotta do this internship stuff. So I looked at a few. I'm like, there's a board with the slips on there. I'm like, no, yes, maybe, no. It's like trying to find a transvestite on Craigslist.
That ain't hard. That ain't hard, buddy.
No, you just want to get the fakers out of there. You don't want the fat guys in the basements. No. I don't want to be like the guy from,
Just have Eddie Murphy point about you. He knows where they are.
Yeah. So I found 4, and I was really opposed to the one working for.
Hold on. We got to clarify. 4 transvestites or 4 internships?
Neither one. It's a mulligan. Hold on. I had something unplugged, but I'm being choked by my headphones right now. Here's the thing. Stupid Mac. I unplugged my laptop, but it dims the screen, and I don't want to mess with it, so I got to plug it back in, even though it's at 100%, just so it brightens up the screen a little bit. So I see your sunshiny, beautiful head of hair. But anyway, I looked at these internships, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. And one is for a very large cable conglomerate. There's 2 really big ones on the East Coast. There's Time Warner, and then there's Comcast. You pick which one. I don't want to say because if I ever have to do work for these guys, I don't want them to look back because I know they probably will hone in on this. But there's one of those 2, and then there's some local media outlets, and I'm like, no, they don't really fit me. So I found a local production one. I'm like, okay, I'll take these 4 slips. This guy only wants response via email. So I emailed him. He responded back. Pretty cool. He does concerts. He does videos. He does video work for local radio stations. I'm like, cool. I could get my teeth wet, with this guy. And I looked at the other ones. Mind you, they're all unpaid for the big newspaper company around here. A couple local news outlets, and then the large cable corporation. They all wanted resumes. I'm like, I had a resume before when I was in corporate America. I used to work for a pretty big insurance company, and then for a communications firm, and before the Army. And then I looked at it, I'm like, do I want to do this? I'm like, I know how to build a resume. It's easy, My work experience for the last 14 years has been the same thing. I don't have to veer too far. Like, I've changed so many jobs, this and that. I know all the keywords and stuff. I started building a resume, and you know what I did after probably the 75th character I typed? You know what I did?
What?
Fuck it. I ain't doing this. Not doing this. I am a creative person. My ultimate goal is to create stuff for people to watch, documentaries. I am never filling out a resume again. No, I refuse. So I threw all those other resume sheets away, and I put all my eggs in one basket with this local producer. And if he doesn't, you know what? Screw him too. I'm doing it on my own. I am never filling out a resume again. I refuse. How the hell are you going to figure out who I am, what I am, and what I offer you and your company or your vision or your idea, your pocketbook, your subscribers, or your whatever, your stockholders in 2 to 3 pages? Are you serious? Come on, stop it. One, whatever the case.
If you talk to any headhunter out there, if your resume is more than a page, you've got like a 60% chance they're going to throw it away immediately.
Oh yeah. Dude, over the last 14 years, I was in the Army. I mean, I got maybe at most 2 lines. So, working on a degree. There you go. Take me if you want. But it's like, how are you going to figure me out? Like, it's like a dating profile. Like, serious? You really want to find out if you want to spend the rest of your life with me in, a few hundred characters? Get out of here. I mean, I looked at it and I'm like, I was done. I finally realized, like, I am so detached from doing, like what Joe Rogan was explaining in that clip. I am so far gone from wanting to be that person ever again. I right now I would only have to work. I'll only work like for food, just to feed me and feed my child. Benefit-wise, health, work, we're covered. I got that taken care of. Other than that, I'm just working to get to where I need to be. As a person, as an individual, as a father, I can't pass anything on to my daughter if I'm filling out a resume page for some bonehead job. No, not at all.
So it looks like you and I both kind of have the same feeling about working for somebody.
Why the hell do I have to fill out a resume for a free internship? Like, you want to know my 10-year work experience so I can get some broad coffee who goes, and in the news today, and she shakes her head like she's got Bell's palsy disease or something like that. Like, every time they say a word, they nod their head, like freaking puppets on there. I'm gonna get her coffee and proofread her script, but you need a resume? Get out of here. You pay me. Not doing it. I'm done. I'm done with corporate America. So done. You know what? I'm so done. I'm not even gonna shower for the next week. I'm going balls stank on life right now.
All right, so it looks like we both have the same kind of attitude about going back and about corporate America. So I thought this would be a good thing to add. I'm trying to get this. Hold on, I'm trying to get this thing big enough.
And while you're making it, look what I got here. You what? See?
These are
patriotic right here. 1776 rye. That's my new drink.
35 jelly beans.
There we go. Okay, I think I figured this out. Hold on one second. Let me share screen. All right. Here we go. Now this, I want to talk about this in a little bit.
Counted out 500 of them and use those to weigh the...
Here we go.
These are roughly 28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest.
In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day, a special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another. Maybe a little bit more if you live in LA.
Of course.
On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities. And another 720 days will go to community activities, like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
Yeah, and I thought, I don't know, man, the two of those kind of put together, it's downright, I don't know, man. You know, if you think about that in that context of how much time you really have, and then how much of our time we spend just doing bullshit, man. You know, like doing a job that you don't like, or doing something that's not going anywhere. You know,
work for what, 3,000 days, 4,000 days?
No, it was a pretty big chunk of it. It was because if you think about it, I mean, most people work from 18 to 65.
Yeah, I was just looking, like my last batch, my last go around of active duty. I looked at the VA, whatever the VA. Oh, I got the thing for my GI Bill, you know, that you get every semester.
Yeah.
It looked. Oh, this was my last batch of active duty. I was 12 days short of 4,000 days for my last go around, and I just looked at that. I'm like, fuck. I just spent 4,000 days accomplishing what? I mean, at the heart of it, yeah, whatever, patriotism and all that fun stuff. I brought to democracy to a bunch of people with purple thumbs and no heads. Great. But I just really looked at it. Could you imagine that? 4,000 days, and I'm like, what did I personally gain out of it? Like, really deeply personally gain out of it? A couple lessons learned, but other than that, that's 4,000 days I will never get back. You know, and it's just it was disturbing. Yeah. Have you ever got it? I think you got it from like these two clips you played. Those moments that just hit you, and when you realize it's like, what the hell have I been doing? You know, like. I did all this, and you look around, like you look around at the walls in front of you right now, and you know all this stuff. You know, it's just, you know, metaphorically speaking, look at the walls that surround you, and it's like, is that what you've just been busting your whole life to get to? You know, I mean.
Well, that's, you know, talking about Southern California. I live in Southern California, and I had a conversation with somebody when I was a contractor. Last time I went to Afghanistan as a contractor. Guys were talking about their houses. You know, this guy, I can't remember his name, but this guy that we worked with, he'd been a contractor in Afghanistan for about 10 years. So as long as they had contractors in Afghanistan, he had been doing this thing. And he basically bought his own
Town?
bay in the Philippines. Well, that's the thing. He went to the Philippines, right? So he bought a house. His guest house was the size of a mansion in the United States, right? I mean, these guys were describing, because a lot of the guys had been there and gone to like visit him on their time off. And he had this huge like estate. He basically, there was this huge bay on a part of on one of the islands in the Philippines, and he owned the half of the bay. His house took up half of the bay. Just some baller shit. But the guys were talking about it like, you try to do a portion of that in the United States, and you're just working for your house. And you do a job like that, so let's say you do a job like that, you're contracting, you're doing that for a house that you only see for a week a year, right? Like, what the fuck is wrong with that, man? My buddy Taylor gets paid really well. He does suspension welding. He goes on oil rigs off in Alaska, climbs up in midair and welds midair. Now he does more supervisory, so he actually watches other people do it more than he has to do it himself, but he's gone all the time. And thankfully, he was smart enough to not spend all of his money on a house. But that's what a lot of Americans do, and that's why we get stuck in this trap, is because you work to get this stuff that you think that you need or you think that you want, and then you start getting this cycle because the credit industry in the United States allows you to get a house that you can't really afford, or a car that you can't really afford, or gadgets that you don't really need or can't afford. And you get to the point where you've got all this stuff, you're so highly leveraged, you can't stop working because you've got all this stuff, and now you got to pay off all this debt. And you literally work yourself into the grave, working at a job you don't really like for stuff at home you don't really have time to enjoy. And
you really don't need anything. You really don't. All the stuff in your house. You know what I'm looking at right now? I'm looking at a huge block of salt on my mantle. It's a light. I have a pink Himalayan sea salt lamp. It's like, that's great. Do I really need that, though? Oh, it's right next to something else I don't need.
Can you eat it?
No, it's real salt. You can lick it. Real salt. I'll have it next week. I got a block of pink Himalayan sea salt, probably about that big, and it's heavy. I would say probably about 10 pounds in salt, maybe 5.
That's something cheap. How much did that cost?
I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. And what's cool about it? There's a light bulb in the center of it, and I can plug it in, and it's supposed to emit soothing rays. It's supposed to burn off the salt. I don't know how, because it's got a little Christmas tree light in there. And it's supposed to fuck with the ions in the atmosphere, and it's supposed to calm you down. The only thing this is going to do is, if I run out of sea salt, pink Himalayan sea salt in the cupboard, I'm going to get a cheese grater and my lamp, and I'm going to season up my burgers.
Yeah, because that stuff's what? I mean, it's like $15 for a tiny little jar like this, right?
That thing right there, my friends, is the Lexus of salt. I seriously, it is. Hold on. You just talk for a moment. I'm gonna grab it, because you're gonna crap your pants when you see the kind of crap we're talking about of wasting money.
So I think I was getting off on a kind of a rant a little bit earlier, but that's the thing that I was trying to really kind of hit at, like this idea that a lot of Americans, we think we need to work at a job that we don't like because we have all this stuff that we don't want, but everybody has the ability to work for themselves or do something for themselves or start their own business. Yeah, a lot of businesses fail. But you know what? You can fail 100 times. You only need to succeed once. And that's the important thing, and a lot of people don't really understand that. A lot of other countries, you go to a lot of other countries, and most people are business owners. Being a business owner doesn't mean you have a skyscraper and factories and all these other things. There are a lot of businesses that are just you. As an author, I'm incorporated because that is my business. As an author, that is one of my businesses. I am an author, so under my business, that's what I do. I don't have a factory literally printing the books. Tactile 16 does that. I don't have the stores that I sell them in. That's the beauty of the internet, right? We do that on Amazon and all these other things.
You didn't build that?
Oh, God damn it, come on.
Speaking of something I didn't build, but I'm pretty sure there was about 15 shirkas that died for my lamp. This is heavy. This is like, look at that thing. That's salt. Big chunk of sea salt. Pink Himalayan sea salt. You want to see what? You want to see the cool thing it does? Watch this.
That's actually pretty cool.
That is cool. This is sexy time for hippies. Right here.
So
Yeah.
I have to ask something, and I hope you can answer this because I've never been able to answer this.
I think you could kill a zombie with this thing.
Pink Himalayan sea salt, right?
On my hand, I got salt all
The Himalayas are a mountain range. They're not an ocean.
right.
So how does sea salt come from a mountain?
You know what? It's all Buddhism, my friend. It's all Buddhism.
Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of fundamental appreciation for Buddhism too much more after my ex-wife, so gotta forgive me for that. I went off on a rant, I think, a few weeks ago about how much I don't like actors anymore. I don't like Chinese people anymore, and I definitely like Taiwanese people, and I definitely don't like Buddhists. Well, some Buddhists are okay.
So actors, Buddhism, and Chinese. Well, you're fast on your way to hating most of the world.
Yeah, I don't like people to begin with. It's all right.
That's great. That's awesome. I like that. And you know what? I don't know why. But, well, here we go. You know what we do like? We like our founding fathers. And I want to say, I found this cool. I know you don't drink anymore. That's awesome. But you look really hydrated for your situation you're in. I found, look at this patriotic thing. 1776 rye whiskey right here. And look at the back. You know what did me in on the back? Right there. Join or die.
That's pretty damn cool.
That is cool. It's a good rye whiskey. It's all the same. This is 100 proof. And my girl watches what's that show? Game of Thrones.
Oh, is it still on? I haven't seen it in so damn long.
Here's the thing, like I watched 2 episodes like 2 years ago, and we tried to catch up on like HBO Go. She wanted to catch me up, and I fell asleep in the middle of the second episode. I'm like, this fairy tale dragon sword stuff never really done it for me, not at all.
There's lots of boobies.
Well, had somebody told me that, man, that blonde chick, whatever, the dragon mama. We started watching. We got HBO Go. We traded passwords. Here, you want Hulu? Okay, give me HBO Go. The new cartel, the new drug dealers are people that trade their streamlining video passwords. So because I only pay for one, and I have Netflix, HBO Go, I have Amazon Prime, I have Hulu Plus, I have all these things that I don't need cable for, and that's why I'm not going to fill out your silly resume. So I have this. We've been watching Game of Thrones. Man, there's a lot of sex in there.
Yes, there is.
There's an awful lot of sex in there. But you know what? There's an awful lot of drinking in there.
Yes,
there's a lot of everything going on. I feel like I have missed out on a few things. But then I realized it's like, why? Last night I watched it, and then of course, TV time, fell asleep. It's like they really. I don't know. I feel as if you waste a lot of time in front of the TV and stuff.
You see how many jelly beans that was?
That's a lot of jelly. I heard that. I'm like, that's a lot of jelly beans. That's way more jelly beans than people spend going to the bathroom and washing. That's why there's a lot of stinky people. They sit in front of the TV longer than they shower.
Well, there's a lot of Germans. There's a lot of Europeans on the planet. They just don't do it.
Yeah, blame the Germans. You know, I want to say one thing. Besides stinking, well, it has to do with that. You know what I had for dinner tonight?
What?
I had elk burgers.
How was that?
Well, it was good while it was going on because we had it in the cast iron skillet. We seared it in the cast iron skillet. I put on mine baby spinach, fresh blue cheese crumbles on it, thick center cut bacon I put on there as well, and caramelized onions that we caramelized in grass-fed butter in a cast iron skillet. I was like a badass outdoorsman hippie doing that. It tasted so good. But you know what? You know what game meat does to me? It's got me sleeping on the couch tonight. It's god awful. You know what? Back in the day, that's why the shower was invented, because people ate game meat and drank a lot of whiskey. Could you imagine how bad the Frontier smelled?
Yeah, I can imagine a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh, Lord, it's bad. It's brutal. I mean,
I had to explain. Natalie and I went to go see American Sniper.
How was it?
Last night. Pretty good. I'm going to write an article about. I'm going to write a review about it. But every time she sees something like that, she gets reminded, because my time, when I was in Afghanistan, we would go a couple months at a time without showering or bathing or anything like that. And every time she sees something like that, because you live in pretty close quarters. I mean, we were there. We lived in a shack that was pretty close. I mean, we were separated by each other by maybe 2 or 3 feet.
Mhm.
And she was like, "You would not shower for 2 months and then have to sleep right next to each other? How the hell do you do that?" You go, you just stop smelling each other after a while. And then when it gets really bad, once you can smell each other again, that's when you know you got to take a shower. You
Yep.
drive to Bagram, you get your ass in a shower.
I remember my first in 03 in the initial push, my first shower, I think the 2 to 3 month range, because we went the way that, like you were saying, this all ties back before the show ends, how we were supposed to go into Turkey.
Yeah.
Everybody, not just the cool guys that were being smuggled. My unit was supposed to go into Turkey. That we had a kibosh put on that, so we went up to Balad. We were one of the first people up there, one of the first white dudes up there, other than the Yugoslavians that helped build that base. After the documents I found with a lot of Yugoslavian stamps on, I'm like, okay, there were some Slavs here before. I'm not the only one or the first one. But when we got there, basically why I'm telling this, because we pushed farther ahead than our supply lines were ready to compensate for. The mission still had to go. Like we were supposed to go to Mosul, Kirkuk, all these northern places, Samara, Tikrit. Then Balad was kind of like the southernmost northern areas. Like if you split the country, that's like north central, I suppose.
Yep.
Our supply lines were supposed to come down from Turkey. Everything was rediverted, go up from Kuwait, into Iraq. So everything that was supposed to come our way got there a little slower. And I didn't shower much when I was in Egypt. Being in Iraq those first few months put a whole new spin on not showering. Like, I like to be clean. I pride myself on not stinking. I like to not be able to use deodorant, but still smell good, just because I keep up on that stuff all the time and have very little physical activities in the course of the day. But you don't get a chest like this for nothing. Actually, yeah, you do. But the point is, after I took that shower, after I took that very first shower, we found out who the scumbag was that skipped over that shower. Like, whatever. I can understand skipping over a shower day or, a couple days, whatever the case may be. But when you're taking your first shower in months and the dude skips it, that's when things get sucky, living, 2 feet, apart from each other. That's when things get bad, when you realize, oh, you were the anointed dirtball.
You're that guy, just like the surface shitter.
Did you have one of those guys throughout your career? You don't have specifics, but did you have one of those guys? I mean, you guys seem like more on the up and up,
I think I remember one in basic training. When we went through, so I went through the Q course. There were a couple times when we were out at Camp McCall, like in the middle of the winter, and all the bathrooms there. So you have Fort Bragg. Fort Bragg's where Fort Bragg is. And then out in the middle of the woods somewhere is Camp McCall, which is where Special Forces does all of our training and stuff like that. And not all of our training, but when you're going through the Q course. So not real Green Berets, but Green Berets to be in training. And so out there in the middle of the woods, they have these big they're prison bathhouses. They're just like prison toilets with no lids, just solid steel with no lids, and big prison showers, just like, a bunch of things on the wall with no dividers and no separators. And just to mess with you, there's no heat. There's no heat and there's no AC in there either. So I went through a lot of my stuff in the middle of winter. And you kind of get some passes on that when, you get back, you've been out humping your suck for a couple days or weeks, and you get back and it's 10 degrees outside and there's no heat in the showers and there's no hot water either. We don't get too mad at each other when you don't take a shower there.
My last deployment that winter in Baghdad that's when it snowed in 07. 08, that winter, and it snowed.
Yeah.
There were some really cold times, and the same thing. No hot water, no heaters in these shower trailers, whatever the hell they're called. So there were the same thing. There was a couple times we gave people passes. It's like, at least get a baby wipe. Get
The baby wipe bath can be pretty good if you do it right, man.
Yep. Or you know what? Before we had the showers, and I was that ass. Before we got our first shower in months in 03, I'd go visit the water buffalo at night. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna rinse off my junk, and I'm gonna turn around. I'm going to pretend like I'm in the Erie County Holding Center and grab my ankles. Let the water rinse that area off. Just now, once in a while, I'm like, okay, drinking water's at a premium out here. So every once in a while, I'm just gonna go do that. But the baby wipes, you gotta hit your fan on the baby. Your fan, feet, ass, and nuts. You gotta take care of those.
I heard of. So I had some buddies that were in infantry units that were same thing. They were in the initial push, way ahead of their supply line. Basically, I mean, they didn't even have enough water to drink. Much less.
We were rationed off water, and here I am scrubbing my nuts with drinking water.
Well, these guys, commanders made them fucking shave. Right? Not enough water to even drink. Definitely not enough water to bathe, and they had to shave.
Yeah, same here. I would get
yelled at. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, you didn't shave? It's like, really? You didn't shave. You short little prick. Smack the hell out of him. It's like Plankton from SpongeBob. Little evil, little tiny thing. Like, you didn't shave. I'm like, that's the most of your concerns right now. You're gonna get a counseling statement. I'm like, shut up. Okay, fine. If I could, you know what? I could probably wallpaper a 15 by 15 room with all the counseling statements I got in my career. They turned into badges of honor. I mean, I did from not shaving to doing, whatever, very physical one-on-one activity on Barton Field at Fort Gordon. Was there for that. I actually did it in a museum piece at Fort Gordon once. I was the man. To not shaving in Iraq. Yeah, so I've been told you're not a good person numerous times via paper in the Army. So
I get a little like that, especially when you're being told you're not a very good person by a not very good person. You just kind of go, yeah, all right, you know what, I can take that.
Like in another life, I'm pretty sure this person was a gate guard at a concentration camp. Like, you're an ass. But I think we should wrap things up there. Before we go, I know we got so far off track. What is wrap this all up? What's your opinion on what do you think should be done with Brian Williams? Because he lied about Iraq in that story, and then he lied about, come to find out, he lied about Katrina, the events in Katrina, where he said he saw bodies floating from his hotel room in the French Quarters, and then someone debunked that by saying the French Quarters is the original high ground in New Orleans, wasn't affected by flooding, so you didn't see bodies floating there. And Brian Williams also said he got, I believe it was diphtheria in New Orleans. Medical professionals came out and said there wasn't a single case in New Orleans during Katrina. And then the whole, I was shot down in Iraq, but I really wasn't, So between Katrina and Iraq, like, the guy really had a really crappy early mid 2000s on the truth scale. What do you think is what do you think is the best thing that could happen to him and for him?
Put him out to pasture, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like, we know journalism has very loose ethical standards at this point. Like, we know that they're trying to keep themselves alive and trying to outpace Twitter and social media. We've realized, a lot of people have realized, we don't really need them anymore, right? And so they're kind of going the way of the dodo, man. They're going the way of the newspaper. They're going the way of terrestrial radio. They're going the way of a lot of these things that people are starting to realize we don't really need anymore. And so when you're already in that position, and all of a sudden we find out, oh yeah, we know a lot of you guys are liars, and you stretch the truth, and you don't have any kind of honesty or integrity, and if we were in Japan, you should be killing yourself. But you got caught, bitch. Like, that's it. We know that a lot of you guys, but we can't prove it. You, Brian Williams, we can prove it. So you know what? Get the fuck out. Because that is a job where if you have no integrity, sorry, peace out, Girl Scout. We don't need you around.
And that's the thing. And one of my friends on Facebook, I said something like, "How can you whatever trust the media when one of their poster boys is a liar?" Something to that effect. And one of my friends, who I love dearly and slept with in the late '90s, she said, "You always got that approach."
Was she good to you?
She was 4'11". She made me seem like a giant. But I felt like a white guy in Japan, which I probably will be at one point in my life. But anyway,
Those 30 ain't far off, man. Aborigines.
I was gonna say that's way far away when I'm 60, but that's like not that far from now. But she's like, "Oh, I love Brian Williams. I hope nothing bad happens to him." I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because he made a mistake." I'm like, "That's not a mistake. That's like when your whole job is about integrity and you lost that integrity, so you're a liar, whatever." Shows like people go on when they lie. Hillary, especially in war zones. There really wasn't a sniper. But
I like that. I really like, though. I'm sorry to butt in on your point, man, but I fucking hate Hillary. Fucking hate Hillary. Fucking hate Hillary. I really like that somebody said, I don't want to ever see Hillary Clinton run for president, but I would love to see all the skeletons that come out of that bitch's closet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, oh, man. It'll all come out.
I think a lot of those skeletons are women. You paint that picture. But it's like when you lose your integrity as a politician, guess what? You got another election cycle. When you lose your integrity as a spouse, you have counseling. When all these things. But when you lose your integrity as a journalist, as the face of the network for television, you're sunk. Look at Dan Rather. Was he the one he reported the stuff on George Bush with being in the National Guard and all that stuff? And it turned out he was, I think, more or less hung out to dry, but he did the right thing and he fell on the sword and he stepped away. I don't think Dan Rather at that point in his career was doing any investigative work. He was just sitting in front of a camera telling what was on the teleprompter. Maybe a little bit he would do a little fact checking, but at that point of his career, I don't blame Dan Rather for what he said about George Bush. I like Dan Rather. I think he's one of the last beacons of journalism. But he did the right thing. What he said, what came out of his mouth was wrong. He said he was wrong, and he stepped away, and he was out of the public eye for quite a long time until, alternative press came to be. Brian Williams, on the other hand, I think he was telling personal stories, that never happened numerous times. And it's not like he told them once and somebody said, "Well, you did this 10 years ago." Whatever. He told us over and over and over again. I don't think if NBC wants to have any credibility, that's kind of that's like an oxymoron right there. I think if they want to save my girls' network, Rachel, if they want to save my girls' network, I think Brian Williams has to go after his little sabbatical. I think he has to go on the nightly news and say, I'm resigning because I betrayed the trust of the American people and I lied and I put another black eye on my, on journalism as a whole. Because I think it did. This is not some little shit reporter or editor. This is like top 5, journalists in the country. It's not good.
Then he needs to suck start a samurai sword to make it all,
Yeah. As he the volcano. I think right
at
there.
At the same time. Sword in the mouth as he's going into the volcano.
Yes. Yeah. Call him Benny Bukkake on the way out.
I'd pay to see that.
I would, strangely enough. But anyway, this is the latest we've ever gone. I just looked at the clock now and realized what time it was. I think from you getting on late.
Yeah. Sorry about being late. The good thing about shitheads and ex-wives is you can always expect them and depend on them to be shitheads and ex-wives. So thank God for the X in front of their name.
I still send a show invite out to my ex because I'm a whore for ratings. So I have the same outlook on exes. But that was my serious face right there. If you're watching, but yeah, we all have those moments, and that's what I kind of figured. You said be there in 5, and when you weren't, it's like I've been there.
Yeah.
Say no more. Say no more, my friend. Did you tell her I said hi?
No, we don't have words between us. I mean, she knows I like to be punctual. So we were supposed to be there at 6. I'm at a kid's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. I get a text message from her. She's going to be late. Be there at 6:30.
Okay, fair enough.
That's cool. I get 30 more minutes to hang out with my kids. Awesome. Hey, I sent her back a text. Yeah, awesome. I'll see you at 6:30. So while I'm driving, because I leave the kids' party early to go meet her at 6:30, I get a text message from her sister. Hey, she's running a little bit late. She'll be there at 7. Okay, you know what? I get 30 more minutes to play with my kids. That's cool. Yeah. So at 7:30, she shows up. And I'm just like,
the negative has the positive.
Yeah. Yeah, I got more time with my kids, and I had a really fun time. My daughter slept on my shoulder the whole time, and I got to play around with my son a lot. And, you know, thank God for that. Thank God for that little time. I love that because my kids, I just love any time that I can get with them at all because my kids are awesome. You know, nice. So it was worth it. But, again, I can depend on her to not be dependable.
Speaking of, yeah, that's you know, you can't have one without the other. Speaking of awesome, guess what I booked 2 days ago? Guess what I booked?
What?
My trip to sunny Southern California.
Awesome.
At the end of May, I will be in La Conchita. That's where I'll be staying, in between Santa Monica and Ventura. Cool. So, my friend, we have, in a couple months, we have a date with destiny. You know what it's gonna suck for Natalie and Andrea?
What's that?
we gotta do a live show together. Yeah. So, yeah, we definitely have to. But I'm looking forward to coming out and finally meeting my friend. One of my best. It's weird. One of my best friends. You know, it's boo to all the people I've known for 30 years. I
had that same conversation. So the kids' party that I was at this evening. This guy that's another Mason, he's from Chicago. He and Robert Johnson are really good friends. Yep. I've known this guy on Facebook for 2 years, and he came here a couple of months ago to California to stay with a friend. And we were just talking about that tonight. Like, I probably have a dozen of my best friends right now that I've never met.
Yeah, I tell you what, I met Eric, you know, our friend Eric, Tactical Six. Never met Adam, never met James, never met Brian. You know, haven't met you. There's a couple other guys in that circle. Ivan, you know, JD from the network. There's probably like 6 guys that I would say are my friends. Meanwhile, I went to a Super Bowl party last week at my best friend's house, and a mutual friend of ours who I've known since I was probably 17. We talked, shot the shit for a little while. He left, never said goodbye to me. I'm over it. I'm like, whatever. And it's not like, oh, that guy. You know, it's like, hey, man, I haven't seen you in a long time. But it was just like, you know, I felt like B.B. King songs going off in my head. The thrill is gone. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about in May. Oh, and then Greasebasser. I forgot about that guy, but he's got to come out from that weird section of California, come visit me. I'm not driving up there. I got like 4 or 5 days there.
Yeah.
Yep. Doing some wineries, beaches, you know, vineyards, and food. I am going to be a complete hipster. I'm going to drink wine, sit on the beach, and eat some weird food. And do podcasting. Ha! And you know what? I'm going to wear a winter hat.
I can't tell you that's not a bad idea. Now, Greasebasher, though, I've gone out to the cabin with him a couple times. Probably the most relaxing place on the planet. A little piece of awesome.
Not for me.
Maybe on the next trip, because if you only got 4 days, that is, because we went out there last weekend. I mean, it's a 4.5, 5 hour drive just to get out there. So,
like a 4-day, 5-night type of thing, something like that. Maybe I could add like a day or two on the front or back end, but I got that vacation house, that hippie house, and it is a complete hippie house, for like 4 days. Super cheap, like $400 and some change for like to stay there for like 4 or 5 days. Like end up being like $115 a day, and you get breakfast cooked by an old dude. So I'm looking forward to it, but I know we've been on pretty late. And I got classes tomorrow.
Yeah, well, speaking of look forward, so this week I'm actually, we talked a little bit earlier about Vets on Media, so I'm starting a new show.
Yeah, I talked about that, by the way. Yeah, give the good plug.
Yeah, it should start. We're going to record. I'm recording my first show on Tuesday, so I'm hoping to have it up by Tuesday night or Wednesday. So it'll go, same thing, you go to Vets on Media. I'm not sure what exactly the slug will be, but it's the Green Beret NBA show on Vets on Media. The first guy that I'm interviewing is the guy that inspired me to start the show. So it should be a good one. Should be a whole lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it because it's a way for my nerd out in just a whole nother way. What's that?
Cool. What's the guy's name, by the way?
So his name's Tom Rogers. He was one of my professors. So the whole point of this is I'm trying to I want veterans that have an idea that maybe, a lot of people start a business just because they have an idea. They go, I want to do this, right? That's the whole purpose of starting a business, to fill a need that's not met, right? Do something that nobody else is doing that needs to be done. But a lot of people have a great way of doing something. They can make the longer lasting light bulb, but have no business sense. They have no idea how to do it. They don't know how to start a business. They don't know what goes into it. What decisions do I need to make? What do I need to think about before I put my blood, sweat, tears, and most importantly, money and time into a business? So that's kind of the whole point. I want to bring to any veteran out there that has the idea of being an entrepreneur. More McDonald's are owned by retired military officers than anybody else, any other demographic. A lot of military guys retire and they want to do something else. And there are a lot of great businesses that are out there, but there are some very key things that you need to think about and consider before going out and starting your own business, or if you have started your own business. And that's the thing. I am going through the MBA courses right now. I'm becoming an MBA, and this guy was he was my strategic decision making professor last semester. I took a strategic decision making course, and this guy just threw out some nuggets of information that I went, holy shit! I wish I had known that before I started my first business. He actually inspired me to not only start the show, but I've got another business that Adam Bird, myself, and I'm going to bring Brian Dolge and some other people in that we're in the process of putting together right now as well. And this guy he's inspiring. He's got some great ideas, a hell of a lot of experience, worked for HP and a lot of other companies. Really just amazing guy. And so we had a little kind of pre-show conversation last week, and so I sent him some of the topics we're going to go over. Just an amazing guy, really thought-provoking, inspirational, well-experienced guy. And again, we're going to take this kind of, hey, you're a veteran, you aren't sure what to do with yourself after you get out, or you have an idea, you have a business you want to start. Hey, here's what you need to know if you're going to go into the world of business. And so that's what we're doing. We're essentially going to give you the ability to get the knowledge and information gained from an MBA course or an MBA education without having to spend the time and money of actually going and getting an MBA. So, or maybe it'll inspire some other people out there to go and get their MBA if that's something you want to do. But more importantly, I just want to get a bunch of experienced people around, tell you common mistakes people make, things that you need to think about before you go into the business world, stuff like that. Just some good kind of nuggets of wisdom for veterans that want to go into business. So, yeah, this guy Tom Rogers, just Dr. Tom Rogers, one of the best professors I think I've ever had. So, should be a lot of fun.
Nice. Wow. That's I'm gonna tune in.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched, man. It's a totally different format from anything else I've ever done because it's purely business education. But I have all these topics that I love talking about, and I just love sharing kind of knowledge and experience about with other people out there that kind of want to do the same thing. And
I like that. I like the fact that you're branching out. I've been telling you for years. You kind of gotta branch out. Just open up your wings and fly, my friend.
Well, that's it's again like the universe kind of points you in the direction you're supposed to go, man. Like Adam, they're trying to severely increase Vets on Media. They're going to increase their footprint substantially very soon.
Yep.
All these things just happened at the same time. Adam was saying, hey, we're going to start expanding. I was taking this course, and this guy was just blowing my mind with all these cool things that were coming out. And I was really kind of getting this. I really liked it. And I talked to all of our friends that I know that are veterans that have their own businesses. And, I talked to Brian Dolce a couple times with Iron Mike, like, hey, here's some things that you should think about. Here's some things that I think you should see. I talked to Eric from Tactical 16. Hey, here's some things that I think you should think about. not because I think I know anything better than them or more than them, just I'm getting this knowledge, I'm starting to get this like education, and just going, hey, have you looked at it like this? Which is the whole purpose of an MBA, to learn to be able to analyze things a little bit differently, look at things from a different perspective. And I want to share that. I want to share it with who better than my brother veterans, right? Who better than other veterans that want to be entrepreneurs and have an idea? I want to make sure you guys can get that idea out and be successful with it.
And I got a new venture I'm jumping into. It had nothing to do with on the veteran side of things. I'm gonna get into spoken word performances, like serious, like that stuff. Like, good job.
Is it the hippie house? Did the hippie house convince you to do it?
No, actually, I had a friend on last week on Tactical 16, and he's a young black man in urban Buffalo, let's say, in the East Side, in the ghetto, and he tries to empower people through spoken word performances and poetry. And I really like the message. He's got a good message. He's a young kid, but he's got an old soul, one of those guys. Yep. And he's like, I just want to put it out there to people that you can, you don't have to be stuck in what you feel you're predetermined to be, uplifting type stuff, just nice guy. And he was on the show. Great show. It was fun. But he doesn't know how to hold a microphone in front of his face. He's just blah, 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 stuff like that. It's like to give him the cues. But you know me. I like to do different stuff in front of a microphone, and it's like that. That's something I've never done. I've done ring announcing for wrestling. I've done one-man shows. I've done stand-up comedy. I've done public speaking engagements, stuff like that. Just something else I want to do that I've never done, and let's see how I do. So I'm gonna put together a kind of like a not poetry, as a spoken word show, so to speak. And I'm gonna do that in the next little bit. But what I'm also gonna do is get him started on YouTube and get his stuff out there and get his performances out there that he does. He just had a show last night where he showcased like half a dozen people, and then I'm gonna get him telling his stories, telling his stuff, doing his reciting his body of work, just in front of a camera, just black and white, one light, one camera, and get his stuff out there. And I told him, I'm like, if you make money, great. I don't want any money from you, nothing like that. I just want to help you get your stuff out there because I believe that you're, an honest person and a good person, and you have something that I feel as if you should share. And he was really touched by that. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, man. And then it's funny, true story. As he's walking out of my house, and I'm telling him, I just want to help you. I think you have a good message out there, and I just want you to be able to, get your voice out there farther than what it's being heard now, farther reaches. And then I literally grabbed his pockets and checked his pockets. He goes, what are you doing? I'm like, you know what? You're black. You're in a white neighborhood. I'm making sure you're not taking my silverware. And he's like, get the hell away from me, man. No lie. You go. It's funny. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, man, my silverware. And he's like, come on, man. I couldn't let that touching moment just go. I had to ruin it. It's just like a really good one-night stand. You just look at this beautiful girl and say, you got spinach in your tooth. So with that, Rob, say what you got to say to get us out of there, my friend.
All right, brother. Well, thanks, everybody. Wherever you're listening to us, whether it be iTunes, Podbean, vetsonmedia.com, or anywhere else, remember, if you add us on Google+, you can hang out with us every Sunday night when we record this live, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. I got completely mixed up there due to tonight's shenanigans. So remember, if you add Center Mass with Rob and Silent J on Google+, you can hang out live during the live hangouts. You can actually take part in the show. submit questions, see us recording this live, and watch us whenever we mess up, and get it before the edited version comes out, and it's all nice and spit shine and squeaky clean. Remember to check out tactical16.com, vetsonmedia.com. Again, this is Center Master Silent Robin Silent J, and I'll have the Green Beret NBA up next week as well. So we'll have that one going. Check out ironmikemag.com, lovemewhenimgone.com, farfromcentered.com, thepactbook.com. The Pact will be out on Tactical 16. Should be February 17th. So that will be part of a 3-book series. I'm actually going to meet Mike Dawson on Monday. We're going to start recording the audiobook. So hopefully that'll be out in the beginning of March. Beginning of March. That should be up on iTunes and Amazon.
Tell him I said hi. We follow each other on Twitter somehow. Yep. But I don't know. I don't even know if he knows me.
Actually, you're gonna be where you're coming to visit. That's like kind of his neck in the woods. He does a lot of stuff up in Carpinteria. So maybe we can come up there and we'll get him to come hang out too.
Nice. And then what was I gonna say? I didn't have any website to plug. I'm like .com. But Center Mass with Robin Silent J is gonna be back up on iTunes I would say in about a week, and also on Podbean.com and our very own website that I'm working on right now.
Oh, sweet.
So that being said, working on the website, but it is going to be up all the shows, and it's going to take a while because we're only allowed, with servers and stuff like that, you're only allowed so many gigabytes of data each week. Just going to have a backload of shows to put back up online. So people are inundated with about a year's worth of work because, with everything done before from something extra on the number. Sort of thing. So we're not only going to be streaming up on iTunes again, but we're also going to be on Podbean, and we're going to have our own website only for the sole purposes of just the show, where you can watch all the old videos, and it's going to be tied into YouTube, and it's going to have links for iTunes, and it's going to have links for Podbean on there to stream the shows like that. And I'm working on right now also an app so you can listen to the show, because iTunes on iPhones it's easy. If you have iTunes, you can listen to it. But I'm working on an app right now for Android phones, so you can listen to the show streaming live, or archive shows through app sites like Podbean, Podcast Addicts, and what's the other one?
Stitcher?
There's two, Beyond Pod and Podcast Addict. And Stitcher's weird. It picks up on that stuff, so I'm not going to be building with that, but I'm building with those two sites. And so I would say in probably about 2 weeks, Center Mass is going to be up for the masses everywhere, and you'll be able to pirate it and do whatever you want and sell it. Auto-tune the voices and say it's your own damn show, whatever. So cool. I know we were running very late. If Natalie's there, tell her I said sorry. But whatever, I'll get her. Does she drink wine? I'll get her a glass of wine in May. Oh yeah, there you go. I'll get her a whole what's it? Not the bottle. I'm too cheap for that, but the glass, whatever. The phallus looking flask thing on the table. Phallus. Sorry, no. The little ghetto Italian bottles.
Decanter?
Decanter. There you go. Such a simple word. I just put my foot in my mouth. So so we're gonna have Center Mass for the masses very soon, and our own website, which I already designed. I got to fine-tune it, and a bunch of other stuff. So, yay. Good for us.
Well, that's awesome. That's great news.
Rich! And then we're going to be rich, right? Because apparently all my friends think if you have a podcast and people hear you and see you, you become rich. That's funny. That's like saying everybody that's published the book is a millionaire.
Yeah.
Rob, your thoughts on that? Be a multimillionaire.
Yeah, it's number 2. It's always the next one. It's always going to be the next one.
There you go. There you go. So
thanks. That's a lot of good news. So thanks everybody for joining us again this week. Whether you're picking us up on Vets on Media or iTunes or Podbean or Stitcher, or wherever you're getting this. Thanks for joining. Thanks for supporting us, and thanks for doing everything you're doing. Don't forget to add us on Google Plus and come back again next week. Check us out on YouTube and check out Tactical 16, Vets on Media, and all these other great organizations we're a part of. Thanks for joining us. See you again next week. And remember to stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon, but if they mean to have a war, let it begin here. See you next week, guys.
I had my hands in the river, my feet back up on the banks, looked up to the Lord above and said, hey man, thanks. Sometimes I feel so good I gotta scream. She said, Gordy baby, I know exactly what you mean. She said, I swear